Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring you the one and only Quantum Gaming SaSe. He's in the red trunks and he is playing Protoss to the southwest of the Shkuras Plateau versus his opponent, Millennium Stephano. He is in the pink trunks, playing Zerg to the northeast.
So let's have a look. It looks, is SaSe going to go down for the pylon on the low ground, or is he not? I don't think he is, because he should have already sent that probe. So we are going to have a pylon inside his main base once again here. And as we mentioned before, it's kind of trade mode for SaSe. He never really does actually forge fast expand. He doesn't like to do it. He doesn't like to give Zerg the freedom to do whatever they want. Whereas Stephano is going to play pretty much standard, go for a spawning pull first over the hatchery, simply because of builds like this. But if you're playing against a player like SaSe, and you know that he goes for this gateway every single game, there's actually no reason for you not to try and get away with the hatchery first. The only thing you have to think about is if that probe arrives early enough, it would obviously get blocked here. But you can actually quite easily get away with hatchery first here against the way that SaSe plays.
Yeah, you can, and I have to wonder if that's going to be coming. We'll find out very, very soon. Once the supply count hits 14, we will figure out what's going on in that regard. It's going to be a pylon in the gate again. SaSe opening the same way every single time, it seems, regardless of map.
Yeah, I mean, he's just his preferred style, and I really don't think we are going to see a hatch from Stephano. I mean, it's just a kind of assumption, the way that SaSe likes to play.
Yeah.
But there is that spawning pool down on 15. He'll want to try and get that hatchery up on 15 also, but SaSe shouldn't really let it happen. That would force Stephano into making an overload earlier and into making that extractor a little bit earlier as well. And he has to be careful not to take too much damage onto that probe. And I'm surprised that he isn't already bringing the probe down to the natural, because Stephano's going to send a probe down, and there it goes. And Stephano's going to get a very easy hatchery plant down here without any denial from SaSe's probe.
Yeah, and it's highly unusual. That's exactly why you send the probe over there in the first place, just to make sure that that doesn't happen. SaSe would love to start killing some drones, and Stephano's not going to let him do that, though. It's simply not going to happen. That is, of course, risking the possibility of getting surrounded and destroyed. And he does get out there, but he's not going to prevent that hatchery. He will at least see the timing, and then he can consider what to do next.
Remember, you have to think about the last game, that SaSe could have been a little bit unlucky because he did lose 2 sentries early on, which makes a world of difference. We talked about how losing a Colossus in the battle versus Ryung, small mistakes like this, losing 2 sentries at only the 6-minute mark or so is humongous. So that obviously slowed down, or not even slowed down, but weakened his push that eventually came out to kill that 3rd base. And we do have SaSe taking that extractor, or the assimilator should I say, but SaSe is a very calculated player, hasn't gone into it yet, but will be going into it very, very shortly here. And it looks like we are going to have a 1-gate expansion here, especially, I'm actually looking, did he even see, he hadn't seen the gas go down yet as well. Versus a player that takes gas, you don't want to be doing this really, because they can get Zergling speed, run-bys, cancellations, but against a player that takes late gas and obviously a late speed upgrade, you can more than happily get away with a 1-gate expansion.
Yeah, but he's still going to have to be a little bit careful. That is an interesting move. 2 gateways down to the bottom right.
Well, he has to kind of wall in at the moment.
Yeah, he does. Unfortunately, he can't build enough buildings in order to make that happen.
And this is a little bit weird. He sent out the Zealot, but the Zealot run past the Lings, but the Zealot didn't turn around, which is really weird. A little bit of a slip-up mistake here from SaSe, and he won't really lose a sentry, but he's going to be able to keep the pylon alive just about. But still, he's also built 3 gateways now, and that's not really going to help him out too much, because, I mean, what's it going to do? He can't really put pressure onto Stephano in any way.
No, he can't, and it's unfortunate that Zealot was apparently a little bit blind and didn't see those moving past. The Zerglings all get out there alive as well, which is wonderful for Stephano, and of course gives him the ability simply to grab both of those Xel'Naga watchtowers and take map control. However, SaSe is going to aggressively try and deny that.
Yeah, SaSe's actually going for this timing before speed is done, so that's what he's actually looking for with these double gateways. He's going to go down, place a pylon pretty much right outside the natural area, and he knows that speed isn't done, therefore Zerglings are not as scary as they are usually. We do have a spike roll on the way though, and it is rapidly increasing to completion. Will SaSe go in before, and will he get a force field more importantly on that ramp? That is the most important thing here. Oh, there are so many Zerglings coming from the main base, and it looks like Stephano will be okay for the time being.
Yeah, this is not something that SaSe can really go forward with. Stephano's just going to push forward even without speed. He knows that he's got the unit count to make this happen, and he may be able to catch some units warp in. And a lot of sentries coming from the side. Unfortunately, it is only sentries and 2 Zealots, and that sentry gets blocked in with those Zerglings right there. 2 2 more Zealots to reinforce, and suddenly things don't look quite so rosy for Stephano.
But he does have 22 Lings in production with a Spine Curl as well, so we'll have to see how this does go down. He has to wait till everything is there, and oh no, the Queen gets trapped, which means no Lava Rejects whatsoever coming onto that natural.
Unfortunately, the run-by is going to end up killing 1, 2, 3, and 4 sentries, which is a lot of gas that just got thrown away for a trade for a single Queen.
Yeah, that didn't work out as well. I'm not sure if I really agree with that play there from SaSe. I don't know, maybe he was expecting Stephano to take a little bit later gas, but at the same time that was incredibly risky, and now he's on the back foot himself, and we can see the difference between SaSe's Protoss versus Zerg and obviously the Protoss versus Terran we saw, and that's pretty nice there, but he has to be careful about the Zealot dying and the units actually coming in.
Yeah, I would think that he'll try and move in. Unfortunately, he's not able to force field quite quickly enough as more Zerglings stream into the back. They are cleaned up, though, before the sentries can be destroyed. Stephano would really love to get in there, but that's not going to happen at the moment.
And he's trying to, but he's using the sentries very nicely to block. We do have a Warp Prism on the way, which should be loaded up with a couple of sentries and a Zealot very, very shortly to start harassing. But Stephano's taken a really fast third base to counteract the fact that all the units just died for SaSe there. So Stephano is looking in fantastic position, and off goes the Warp Prism, 3 sentries and a Zealot. How well will this be able to do? The Roach Warren is nowhere near completion, and there's only 8 Lings on the map, and I do not think that Stephano is actually expecting this Warp Prism to come in, so it actually may do a lot of damage here and could bring SaSe back into the game.
There's no indication that he's seeing this coming, and honestly there's no way that he can intercept it either. Stephano's actually moving a few Lings out here and there, just patrolling, perhaps just looking for proxy pilots. He completely misses the Warp Prism. There's no way he could have spotted it without an Overlord being there. There is no Overlord on the top side. Couple of Lings streaming across the map to try and get aggressive. There's already a Zealot in the way though, so that's not going to work, and here comes that drop. And can he trap enough drones in there to make this work out for him? Stephano is a slimy one. He gets the slip through there, but still some damage being done here to that drone line. All of the drones denied. If he could take the Queen out, once again, that would be great. But second Queen coming to reinforce.
Yeah, nice harassment there from SaSe, but I mean, the Zealot cannon was on the wrong side of the force field, unfortunately, so a lot of drones did live, and he's going to be able to pick these units up and get away quite easily there, and doing more damage, actually doing quite a lot of damage here, killing 6 drones overall, and that is what he needs to do to get back into this game for sure. And meanwhile, he is going up for Colossus as well. Really fast Colossus here.
Yeah, you might want to be a bit careful about that Warp Prism. Losing that to Queens would be disastrous, but it's not going to happen. He can easily get out of there thanks to the wonderful buffs to the Warp Prism. Not quite made of paper anymore. SaSe was able to assassinate 6 drones there, and he's going to also give it a little bit of a try on the natural. Does he have enough force field energy though?
No, he only has another force field actually, so he's going to have to be careful and get out of there before this Warp Prism does get picked off. But nice harassment, forcing a lot of non-mining time, and all of a sudden he's going to come down and see, oh, there's a fully saturated third base. This is going to be harder than I thought.
And yes, a lot of roaches as well that thankfully can't shoot up. So he's going to be able to get out of there. But now he's aware of what's there, and he's going to have to prepare for that quite rapidly. The roaches aren't rolling out just yet, but he's probably waiting for roach speed before he attempts anything.
Let's have a look at the gateway count now. It's currently at 5, 6, 7, so he's actually at quite a decent count now. He's got 2 Colossus on the way as well. Depending on where the Warp Prism goes and where the Sentries goes, he can lock himself into bases a lot of the time. We're probably going to see the Warp Prisms function from the rest of the game to act as a floating and moving pylon to be able to warp in anywhere. And it looks like SaSe is about to turn the heat on, and he should be walling himself off in if he wants to do that. Trying to take a third base now would be really difficult because Stephano already has so many units, and they will immediately come charging on to that third base. And it's going to be difficult overall, even if he tries to attack right now. 50 probes, and he is stopped at 50 probes right now. 67 drones for Stephano with an incredible amount of roaches. 24 with another 8 in production.
Yep, the roaches are delayed. A single sentry is taken out, but that one is able to stop it. If it hangs around, it's probably going to end up dying very quickly. He's got to watch out for this attack that's coming in. The Colossus does have extended thermal lance. Stephano doesn't really have an answer to that aside from just push in with a lot of roaches, which can work if you don't have a lot of zealots at the front, i.e. none at all. One Colossus is going to go down here unless SaSe can get it out of there, and it goes down regardless. Second Colossus very badly injured. Stephano wants it. He is chasing it all the way across the base. In the meantime, these Stalkers should perhaps be able to clean this up, but they'll take a ton of damage if they do. And honestly, this is not looking good for SaSe right now.
SaSe actually wants, at the end of the day, to get a third base up. This is the last thing he wants, is to try to deal with this, because there's 90 more roaches on the way. Stephano is taking a fourth base at the same time, even though the control is very nice with this Warp Prism lifting up dead units, and he does manage to hold on, but 4 roaches are still killing probes on the natural. Finally cleaned up. SaSe does manage to hold on, but Stephano is so relentless with his aggression, and he's going to continue to stream more and more units down. 22 roaches currently out, 7 more on the way, and really SaSe doesn't have enough force fields to really make these Colossus viable, and we're actually seeing a pylon being placed in this little choke point to help out instead of force fields here.
Yeah, a good little bit of attack, and this is a nice place to engage, considering the ability to hit from these cliff faces, and there's actually no overlords in the middle of the map to spot up there, so this is a good little bit of damage that's coming in. Those guys won't even be able to take much damage at all, but are there enough Stalkers here to deal with all of these roaches? The roaches are nicely spread out to minimize the AoE. More waves of Stalkers warping in to drive them back in the center, but there's this roach run by into the natural once again.
This Colossus will be able to clean it up, so he's probably just going to go and target 4 probes. Nice wall off with those 3 zealots to prevent them going in, and it will eventually get cleaned up. But at the end of the day, remember, SaSe is trying to stabilize and fortify an area to build a third base. He's running out of gas, and his supply is so low, and I'm surprised that we haven't even seen... Oh, actually, hold on, because SaSe is in a lot of trouble if he's going to lose a lot of gateway units here once again.
Yeah, he doesn't want that. He can't afford it, and Stephano's just throwing roaches at him over and over again, which he absolutely can afford to do.
And I was going to say, I'm surprised to see that we haven't actually seen Aspire come down yet.
Yep.
Aspire and just getting some Corruptors out to deal with this rather than just throwing roaches and lings at it. You know, it's a little bit incost effective, because all of a sudden, SaSe's controlling his Colossus so well. He's up to 4 now, and a 5th one on the way, or actually, sorry, a 4th one on the way now. So how is he going to deal with these Colossus? And if SaSe continues to control them well, they're just going to rain so much damage down.
Well, yeah, the problem is that Stephano can't actually shoot at them. They end up on high ground, and what answer does he have to that? He doesn't have an Overseer, he doesn't have Overlords to be able to move in there, and of course he has no flying units of any sort. The Spire just isn't even an option right now. It would take far too long to go up, so it's going to come down to control, and SaSe's control is excellent. Question is it good enough? 4 Colossus now. 1 is sniped off. Stephano getting really aggressive, charging in there, tries to escape up to the cliff face. 2 of those Colossi taken out. SaSe now relying on those gateway units and the fire support there from the cliff face. 18 more roaches. A really brute force strategy here from Stephano.
Indeed, and an Immortal is on the way out, and we have a 2nd one in production as well. So that will help out, especially against this combination of units that we are seeing from stuff. A combination?
Combination?
Roaches, sorry. All these roaches that Stephano has. But SaSe cannot afford to get caught off guard in the center like we just saw. There was no cliff areas to actually abuse, so you could get up there and stay safe. He lost 2 Colossus in the open area. He has to hug these these mountain areas, and really abuse the fact that the roaches can't see the Colossus.
Yeah, Stephano is just playing brute force because he's got the resources to do it. There is very little finesse to this. It's just a case of trying to get a really big surround. Picks up the Colossus right there to save it from the roaches, but so many roaches crashing down in his position. A 2nd Colossus annihilated, and Stephano could just be the absolute wrecking ball of this with nothing but roaches.
Indeed, and he's smashed down the Colossus. The Immortal's about to go down as well. Does manage to get picked up, and how good is SaSe's control? I don't think it matters at this point, because there are far too many roaches, and 22 more about to stream out as well. And Stephano, relentless, and he is finally smashing through this, and the unit count is down to a miserable 3 Stalkers.
Gee, good lord, Stephano.
Stephano.